Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the VSP visionary herself, Sandy Reevy. Say hi.
I know what that's about.
It is episode 222, October 24th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have Tuesday, October 25th, solar eclipse and new moon in Scorpio.
Moderation in relationships.
Wednesday, October 26th, Mercury trine Mars.
Out of shadow and super ready.
Thursday, October 27th, Mercury square Pluto.
Not everyone is helpful.
Friday, October 28th, Jupiter retrograde in Pisces.
Couldn't be happier. That's me.
Saturday, October 29th, Mercury ingress Scorpio.
On search.
Sunday, October 30th, Mars stations retrograde in Gemini.
73 days long.
Then in Talisman time, Sandy has one special upcoming to build a long-standing structure. Then on the horizon, we just finished up our Venus Star Point Talisman workshop. You can get your talisman as well as jump in and listen into what we taught for that Venus Star Point. Also, we have our November astrology forecast coming up this weekend. And in our house, I am back from my first Mexican wedding, and what a wedding it was. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you.
Hello, VSP visionary.
Venus Star Point.
It is true.
Yeah, we just concluded our talisman ceremony.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it went fabulously. It was great information, really interesting historical data from the 1770s, the last time that the Venus Star Point was in Libra.
Well, it moved into. We're patterning at the same rhythm.
Right.
As 1771.
Crazy.
Ooh.
So it does make you feel a big part of history. Like it's happening again. And one of the best quotes, I think, from that workshop was, history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes with itself. And that's just very cool because really when we come back to these cycles in our personal lives and in the grand scheme of, human history, we do kind of tend to learn similar lessons. They're not the exact same thing, but they do tend to
It's
rhyme.
like this looks familiar. This feels familiar.
Right.
Different scenario. It's kind of like, why do I keep doing the same thing over and over again?
Right.
But things show up so that you can make that like, oh, I don't do the same thing.
Learn that lesson.
Here it is again, but I don't do that same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to go direct to all you listeners. Thank you so much for your 5-star reviews. I did receive an email from Susan W. She says, Sandy and Alex, my Alcade Talisman Bracelet arrived, and I was so excited to open up the box. So happy that I was able to pick my colors since it was on pre-sale. I absolutely love it, all caps. And the added touch of the Alcade tag, the little silver tag that goes on the bracelets. This protection bracelet spoke to me just as soon as I heard about it on your podcast. Your work is awesome, and I'm so grateful to have connected with you both years ago at Celebrate Your Life in Phoenix. That trip changed my life in so many ways. Can't wait to join you on a retreat soon and to see what other transformations are in store for me. I'm manifesting this, and it will happen.
Let it happen. I
like it.
Did you get goosebumps on that? I'm like,
yeah.
Immediately, do I see her in Bali or do I see her in Greece?
I mean, you can really...
I saw her in Bali, to be actually honest, Susan. Susan, I saw you there.
You can really feel her energy. And I love that. I love that she's coming from a place of gratitude and love and excitement and, willingness.
And that forward anticipation of I have power.
Right. And the future is exciting. That is invaluable, I guess. Maybe that's not the right word, but it's priceless.
It is. It's
priceless.
That's priceless, which is, you can't weigh that on a money scale.
No.
As we were talking about a bunch of scales today with Venus and Libra.
And even some of the wealthiest people don't even have that. They don't have like, wow, my future is bright and exciting, and I'm so excited with what's coming up on the horizon. So yeah, let's move into the transits. We start the week off with your conflict day on Tuesday, October 25th, the solar eclipse and new moon at 2 degrees Scorpio.
Yeah, this is a new moon, which means the sun is eclipsed. The moon crosses the sun. This is at 5:49 a.m. And we are not going to see that in the United States. They will see it in Europe, in Asia, Middle East, and Africa. And it's going to be difficult for them over there because this is a difficult solar eclipse, which is why it's my conflict day. If we picture this, sun and moon both at 2 degrees of Scorpio. Now, in Scorpio, the moon is in fall. So already we are knowing this new moon doesn't like where she is.
Okay.
She's in fall in Scorpio. Let's add the fact that Venus is at 1 degree Scorpio. So Venus is hidden, combust the sun. And Venus is a place of detriment. So the two feminine signs here, the Luna, the moon, and Venus are both in a not happy place. Detriment and fall. Fall means like literally, Vedius Fallon writes, falling down a well.
Okay.
In detriment, he says that you are like homeless. You don't have the resources at your fingertips.
Okay.
Like you're not being cared for. Okay. So we got that pictured. So we're also picturing the North Node that's also that's opposing this. It's wide, but it's in Taurus, which is where we're headed, right? Our purpose, which the ruler of that? What's the ruler of Taurus? Where the South Node or the North Node is?
Venus.
And she's again hidden. So that's why it's like, what are you not saying? What is not being forthcoming? In this instance, for the next 5 or 6 weeks, if somebody doesn't want to say something or answer your question, let them be quiet. Let them keep that to themselves. Unless you want it aired or gossiped or reported in areas that you don't want this information out, you want to keep it to yourself for about 5 or 6 weeks. And we're going to wait till Venus rises from the rays of the sun.
Okay.
When she comes out. And she's going really slow now because she just met that superior Kazemi and she's going into the evening phase for her 9.5 months. And she's really slow upon rising. Again, that she's that yin energy and she's just like taking her time coming away from the sun, right? So when she's opposite that and she's yang and she's morning star, she shows up within a week. She's moving on.
She's quick.
She's quick.
Yeah, quick to act, quick to move.
But when she's more, evening lover, she'd rather be kind of behind the curtains for a longer period of time.
And more receptive, not the one to initiate and begin.
Right. So that has everything to do with it. So here we are in this Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. So Venus doesn't have a fight here. Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what Nina Griffin says, as Mars, the ruler of this, the moon and the sun, is stationing to go retrograde by the end of the week, which is the end of the month. By the end of the week, she says it's like going to bed ill, that you're needing any time that Mars or any planet that goes stations to go retrograde backwards is needing to go to bed, is needing to get under the covers and not do his work, right? And so this is really, he's unable to access his usual resources. Venus is not able, the women. So I don't know about women's fights or women's voice. And I will say this again, here's another opportunity for everyone to vote, because that gets logged in. Even though you may not have a voice, during this period.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take 5 or 6 weeks for Venus to show up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That whatever we log and color in on our voting ballot is permanent, right? It's permanent data. So don't forget to do that. Even if you think you don't have a voice, you have a vote.
Yes.
And I said this somewhere today on that podcast or on our other thing that we did today.
Talisman webinar.
Is we can't get angry at the results or the outcome of something we had no
participated.
income.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If we had no input,
Right.
we get no outcome. We can't.
Right.
So, vote.
Go to the
That's all I
polls.
can
Yeah.
say. Vote.
So Wednesday, October 26th, we have Mercury trine Mars.
Out of shadow. So Mercury's finally out of shadow. Well, he's been out of shadow for just a little bit, but it's the first time that he's squaring Mars here. And
Squaring Mars, not trining.
I'm sorry, it's trining Mars. I'm looking at it 2 different ways. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mercury
is trining Mars. And Mars is in Gemini, which Mercury rules. So there's a reception here. It's called reception. Yep. So do what it takes to mentally accomplish something. Tackle your problems that have been looming, that you've been pushing off. It's time to tackle these. But wait, Mars is stationing for his retrograde journey soon. So focus on 1 or 2 planned projects for the next 6 months. What needs to be finished by spring? Network and connect with those that are skilled.
Okay.
So if you're doing a collaboration, which I've got a lot of phone calls coming up during this period, so that I might be doing some collaborations with others. I've got about 5 people that I'm discussing with possible situations next year and the year after.
Cool.
So
possible events or situations?
events like retreats.
Oh, cool.
I'm really trying to move it on out.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Thursday, October 27th, Mercury square Pluto.
Not everybody's going to be helpful here. Not everybody, because now Mercury is moving back into his combust. He's getting really close. He's about 8 degrees from the sun right now. So, and it's squaring Pluto. Is it that you are obsessed over an idea? Is there a comment or a said promise that you made that you are obsessed over? Mm-hmm. Which in a square could be, I remember you said this once 17 years ago, and I'm not letting go of that thing. And
right.
You said one time you told me you didn't love me, and I've never forgotten that. So, please, right? That might come back out.
Right.
It'll be hard to agree, or even to listen to people that are negative, right? Mm-hmm. So watch cruel words or your cruel tone. Yet say say things nicely as possible. What you mean, right?
Right. And I think straightforward too. We should add that in there.
Right. And I said in here, get right to the point.
Yes.
Get to the point you need to make. Because it's Pluto. It's like no shuffling around.
Right. And you can't sugarcoat it. It just needs to be raw. It needs to be truthful, because the truth will set you free. The truth will hold weight.
And as I mentioned that this Mercury is moving closer and closer to the sun, he is seen as descending into the underworld. And he stays here. We don't see him again until November 24th.
Okay.
And because he's direct, he's moving into an evening star. He's going to join Venus. So though I think we're going to see Mercury first before we see Venus, because she's just really slow. She likes that, romantic light where she's not seen in her
idleness,
in her sexy outfits.
So let's move on to Friday, October 28th, which is your favorite day. Jupiter retrograde in Pisces. I wonder why this is your favorite day.
Right, because as soon as it goes backwards from Aries, 0 Aries, boom, right back into 29 Pisces, it hits my natal sun. Mm-hmm. So I was born March 19th, and I got a 29-degree Pisces sun, the very last day of the zodiac year. And so for me, I couldn't be happier. I enjoyed it while it was here, particularly in that end of April, beginning of May period in 2022, when it was here for the first time in 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I remember when I wanted to get on the plane to Greece.
Right.
While Jupiter was still on my sun, still at 29 Pisces. And I made it so that when I arrived in Greece, it was at 0 Aries, and I was ready for my adventure. My dream came true, right?
Yep. You had always wanted to go to Greece,
Yeah.
and it finally happened. And now you're bringing your retreat group out there. So yeah, that's wonderful.
She's returning to the last 2 degrees, 28 and 29 of Pisces, for the last months of inspiration and a bit of healing. So fill your compassion tank. She won't be back here for 11 years. And, you know, the one good thing is because she gets close to the square to Mars, but they don't connect. So Mars is going backwards and she's getting ready to separate from it as she in November. So that's one good thing around this time. But you know, when I was looking to have my cataract surgery, I was looking at this going, because they gave me a date. I'm like, no, because Mars is the sharp instrument for cutting, right, surgery. And I was like, squaring my sun, and with Jupiter there,
yeah,
and it's retrograde, so I'm going to wait until spring. But anyway, I still, it's my favorite day.
And Saturday, October 29th, Mercury ingress Scorpio.
Yeah, this is on search, looking for something. And there's a mutual reception with Mars retrograde, which is tomorrow, which will be the next day on Sunday, the 30th. Mutual reception works really nice. There's no witnessing, meaning they're not in aspect with one another. But if Mercury is moving into Mars's sign Scorpio, and Mars is retrograding in Gemini, which is Mercury's sign, so that they have this, you know, we hope that they know the drill. They would know the drill. And this to me is a rescue and recover kind of period. Like we have to go in and get some answers.
Okay.
So, and we're a week before the biggest conflict day of the year, which is
the midterm election.
Which is the midterm election. So do your research
and go into a couple rabbit holes. See what happens. See where it lands, and get a feel of what's going on. Of course, Scorpio is going to want to sniff out the fake news, the stuff that is not true. So do exercise that, you know, common sense when you're doing all of that. But Mercury's ready to go and dive deep and find some rabbit holes and then come up for some air.
Right. And it's good for any type of therapy that anyone needs to do, you know, is going into some story or some what you perceive as true.
Right.
It may be blurry.
Yeah. And so Sunday, to wrap up the week, October 30th, Mars stations retrograde in Gemini.
So what inner self project needs attention? What inner self project needs attention? We know we can do anything for a week, but I'm going to ask you to try the challenge. 73 days or bust.
Okay.
What is your bust point? Extend it. Right? So I'm getting goosebumps here. I'm not asking your bust size. I'm asking for you to find where you just can't go anymore.
And keep pushing.
And and I've been telling some clients to take, use your breath. Take a deep breath and then take another deep breath on top of it. Right? Expand your lungs. Lungs represent the twins, right? The Gemini, where Mars is here. So there is some, Mars is that we could say, hey, Mars is, like we said earlier in the podcast, is going to bed ill. He's not going to be that motivated. So things may slow down. You may get tired. You may not be able to get out of bed some mornings, right? Understand that you can't get out of bed some mornings. Just understand that. Be aware of it. Give yourself a break. Don't book 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. call times.
Right.
Because try to lessen your schedule during this period. So, and then find what's your passion. Find your Mars. Find your connection to motivation. That's what he's going to be asking for. So I really challenge you to the 73 days or bust.
Starting on the 30th?
Starting on the 30th. And it lasts until January 12th. And we have 2 more spots left on our retreat.
Right.
Which is when it will go direct. So that's what I'm teaching in everyone's chart is the Mars retrograde in Gemini in their personal charts.
Yeah. So what a week. We start off with your conflict day. We have one of your favorite days in there. And then we end off with a challenge for the 73 days. So of course, email me. I want to know what your challenge is. I think my challenge is going to be at least one sun salutation every morning.
Ooh.
That's just one. And then if I do more, extra credit. But yeah.
You should do 2 because it's
two.
Gemini.
Let's do
it's
2.
The twins. And you could really do it 1 to Pollux and then 1 to Castor because those are the twins. And Castor is the good storyline through positive, optimistic vision. And Pollux is, again, P Pollux is the pessimistic view through the shadow. Right. And so they both tell great stories.
And they both are necessary for us to become fully aware. Yes. So let's move on to talisman times. We don't have any to discuss in finished, but we do have one special upcoming Thursday, October 27th, to build a long-standing structure.
I make this commitment now that holds till the end of time. Whether it is a relationship or a tangible commodity, it survives. Really, this moon is at the top of the chart at the midheaven in Sagittarius. It's a crescent moon, so it's a brand new moon. And it's making a really nice sextile to Saturn stationing direct on the Ascendant. And we said Saturn is, moving forward. So he's now out of bed. He's out of his sick bed.
Okay.
He is able to start moving forward and establishing things for long-standing structures.
Done.
And it's always great when he comes out of his bed. Like this is the first talisman I'm making since he's been direct.
Kind of feels renewed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the second time I use them, the third time I use them, those aren't bad, but this is the strongest one. So if anyone is looking, this is a great pre-sale. It's up on the website now to build something that's long-term.
Love it. And don't forget, we do have the Talisman of the Month on the website to stimulate others with kind words. This is the last opportunity you will have this week to purchase this talisman at its special price. So let's move on to the horizon. I'm going to quick preface. We have this Saturday is the most important. That is the November astrology forecast. Of course, you'll get all of your dates. And this is going to be one of the last free versions of these events. These events will be changing. They will be evolving into something different. So
in January,
it will be one of the last ones, the November one.
I also want to point out we're doing it at 8 a.m.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That is a big, big change. We're doing it at 8 a.m. this time. And
because somebody has to get on a plane.
Yes.
Me.
You got to get on a plane. So that's what I wanted to say and first announce there. Also, we just finished up our Venus Star Point Talisman Workshop. If you missed it, do not worry. We did make a few extra talismans during that time frame because this is all about the Venus star point in Libra. This is a very wonderful time to take a look at relationships, figure out your own balance. All of these themes are so incredibly important right now and for the next 100 or so years for the world at large.
Particularly these next 9.5 months, because she's in charge of this cycle.
Yes. So the talismans turned out beautifully with a black background and a blue rose. Check it out on the website, and you have a choice between earrings or a charm. You can just receive those talismans by themselves, or you can opt to learn more and figure out how this personally works within your own chart.
So there's about a 4-page document that I send to you that has all of your personal Venus, your natal Venus placement, your Venus star point placement, and what's going on and how this is affecting your chart.
Right.
And a little bit of comment.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very personal.
So let's move on to discuss the November 2nd. That's the midterm election astrology webinar. You and Susan will be discussing what's going on. Why is it such a big deal? Why is it such a huge, bombacious type of challenging day?
Because it's the lunar eclipse.
And
it's hitting our United States.
So we will figure out what's going on, try to discover some ideas, some themes that might be happening. So join us for that astrology webinar. Those are a great resource for basic information, so you can come in as a beginner, but also we can elevate some of the information if you are a little bit more advanced. And there's a way to personalize it so you know kind of what's going on in your own chart. So also, I'm going to breeze through these because we discuss them all the time. Our 2023 retreat lineup, we have Mexico in January, Bali in April, and Amargos, Greece in September. So let's move into our house where I just got back from Mexico. It was my first experience at a Mexican wedding.
What a wild wedding. What did you just say?
And what a wedding it was.
Oh, yeah. And what a wedding it was.
I really like alliteration if you don't notice yet. Yeah. But yeah, so my boyfriend and I, his family friend was having his wedding. We, of course, got these beautiful invites and decided to go, but I really had no direction on the invite. There was nothing like black tie or what type of like cocktail, formal. There was no indication on what type of wear needed to happen.
Okay.
So you and I go and we go shopping one day this was for another wedding, because I am on wedding number, I think 5 of the year. There's going to be a total of 6. And I, grabbed off the rack so many different types of dresses. And one was this absolutely like, I felt like it might be a prom dress or something like that. It's incredibly sleek. It's got spaghetti straps, which isn't normally something that I wear. It's completely sequenced with these like wonderful 20s stylistic kind of diamond shapes and a plunging back and a plunging, V-neck, beautiful top. So anyway, I try on all of these dresses, and then I try on this one, and I
walk out. I'm like, oh, this looks like better than the bride. This will be you're going to
be competing with the bride, and and that is one of like a terrible fear that I have, and so I definitely didn't want to do that. But from everything that I could understand about a nice Mexican wedding is that everyone dresses to the nines. You go all in. And this isn't just for the mother of the bride or the bridesmaids. This is for absolutely everyone. and probably the wait staff. So,
because you made a comment that they were checking attire at the door.
yes, they were.
And they sent some people away
Yes.
to go home and change.
Yes, it's so true. And so
I've never heard of that.
No, I've never heard of that either. And so, but yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous. These long plunging lights from these, I want to say 20-foot ceilings, maybe 30-foot ceilings. Beautiful greenery all along the walls. It was a huge auditorium with a huge stage in the middle. They had a 9-piece band that, I'm not even kidding you. So the wedding was earlier in the day, around 4.
And you don't wear this dress there.
No. And so there wasn't as many people. It was a very small little service that was mainly for like family and close friends. And then, which is not customary in the US, usually you go to the ceremony in that same dress. You go to the dinner and reception same, and you're basically like just toured from the ceremony to the reception. So this was a little bit different. We had the ceremony, went back home, ate dinner ourselves, got ready, and then
with hair and makeup.
And makeup, yes. And then at 9:00 was the starting of, or maybe 8:00. I can't remember right now, but I think it was 8 or 9:00 was the start of the reception. So a long, like 4 or 5 hour in between.
And you ate dinner at home. That's interesting.
Right.
There was no dinner included.
Right. And so, but wow, it was like a showstopper. Everything was absolutely gorgeous. The centerpieces were, 3 feet tall, and just just everything that they thought of. It turned out to be the like party of the century. It was all, a big younger crowd. They brought out these roller tables with all of these pre-made shots in it. They had one of these like basically like pumpers that had
tequila
in it, so you could just like take a shot of tequila as you're dancing on the dance floor. The band was going crazy. And I mean, just, of course, coming from an American, I didn't know a whole lot of the lyrics or the songs, but it was, you can't help but dance. And just everyone screaming at the top of their lungs their lyrics. You could totally imagine going to your own wedding and, I don't know, screaming out loud to like Journey, right? Where everyone knows the words and everyone's screaming and air miking and lip syncing. So, it was an absolute blast. We had so much fun there, and
it lasted till what time?
Oh man, it didn't stop. And so the reception didn't stop until about 2 or 2:30. And then, of course, the festivities didn't end until probably like 4 or 5 a.m. And that's normal. And then usually after the party, you go to that after party and they have menudo, which is like my downfall.
What is it?
Oh, I almost can't even describe it. It's just so everyone loves it. Everyone loves it. Because they grew up on it, and it's basically like the stomach of the cow, and it's a soup that's made from it. And they have these like really big corn kernels. It's like kind of like the ancient corn kernels that are in it. I can't remember what the name is, but it's got like a weirdy type of smell, but just the fact that I know what it is, I cannot eat it. And yeah, so that's like usually the customary thing. Like you go out and then you come back home and you're still having fun with your friends and you eat menudo.
Menudo.
Yeah. So
say that. It's starting to sound like how you described it.
So it was an absolute blast. Just everything from the salsa to the bachata to the merengue, the cumbia. Those are all some of my favorite Latin dances. And so just going on the dance floor and I also haven't I almost forgot to talk about the dress, because I was so nervous that I was going to, somehow upstage or, feel like out of place with this huge, long floor length sequin gown that
Fans out at the bottom.
I've never had a dress that fit me like this. It was just like perfect.
It was painted on.
And so, but if I didn't have that, I would have looked like I underdressed. So it's so, right? It's so shocking to say, but everyone had long formal gowns, sequins dresses, bright, vibrant colors. Everyone had their hair done, their eyelashes on. I mean, it was a fashion show, not gonna lie. And so it was just a great time to be a part of that and to be able to, experience that different culture.
It's so exciting to know that you got to dance, that your boyfriend could actually, after his surgery.
Yes, that was such a blessing. He had a smile on his face literally the entire night, there with his family and his friends, and just feeling back to normal after, his back surgery in April. It has been
6 months.
Bumpy road to recovery, but he's on, the mend,
dancing
and
in tequila,
feeling,
right? And menudo.
Feeling even better. So yeah, it was just such a great trip, and I wanted to give that update and talk about my dress, of course, because I love that dress. So yeah, and then dancing the entire night. I am proud to say I didn't take off my heels. They even offered some free slippers. I kept on my shoes, and we were good.
Wow. I know you were tired.
Yes, it was a great time. But I think that's all. I think that's all.
Leave on the high.
Leave it on the high. So thank you everybody for listening in, and we will see you next week. Don't forget to give us those 5-star reviews on wherever you listen to this podcast, and tell your friends. Let us know, alex@intentionbeads.com, if you have any feedback. And until next time, see you later.
Menudo.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of you. The story of you, the story.